Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Vets to Industry, our newest event, our Your Next Mission transition webinar. And today we're going to be led by our training director, Dr. LaConti Bryant. And she's going to go over some great information on building your brand and also building a great resume. And before we get started, I just want to share some important information about Vets to Industry. In case you've never been to an event and you don't know who we are a 501c3 nonprofit organization dedicated to assisting veterans, spouses, and their families during their transition. So whether it's right from the military or you've been in the workforce for a while and you want to make another transition, we're here to provide resources to help you with that. So right now I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Bryant so she can get started on her presentation today. Thanks again for coming. The floor is yours, Dr. Bryant.
I'm sorry, I was still on mute. I was talking. Sorry. Thank you guys for showing up. Thank everyone for showing up, taking time out of your busy day to be with us today in the middle of the day. And with that, I want to officially welcome you to your next mission, your brand and resume. Today, we're not just going to be talking about resumes and LinkedIn. We're going to be talking about your next battlefield, which is the civilian career space. This presentation is going to be about learning to pitch yourself in a short, sharp, and full of value way, just like you would, for example, when you pitch for a grant or a mission briefing. So I do have a question for you to answer in the chat real quick. How many of you feel your military story is hard to explain to civilians? You can put a 1 in the chat if that is you or if you feel that way. Or 2 if you don't. You feel like I got this. I can give you a second to respond to that. Okay, I see a 1 from Jennifer Poole. Can be challenging. It can be. It's like you're talking 2 different languages. Okay. And so with that, I'm going to do a brief introduction of myself. Yep, another 1. I know, been there. I'm Dr. LaConti Bryant. I am, Carmen, you can go to the next slide. I'm Dr. LaConti Bryant. I'm a U.S. Army veteran. I'm a veteran military spouse. My husband is retired military, and I'm the training director for VETS2INDUSTRY. I have walked the transition path myself, so I know the challenges that many transitioning veterans feel when they're going through this, and I know how overwhelming it can get at times. I know what it's like to have a resume full of military jargon and realize it doesn't connect with civilian employees. It's like we're talking 2 different languages. You're talking military jargon, they're talking plain, regular, everyday English. And it's like there's a disconnect there where the only person that can read your resume and understand it is someone else from the military. And what I'll give you today are tools I wish someone had handed to me earlier. Today, there are so many organizations and resources out there that are providing resources to veterans and their families. When I got out the military in January of 2003, none of this existed at all. I had to figure it out on my own. And it was not pretty most of the time because I'm like, it's taking me forever to write a resume, all of that, trying to translate. And so I know some of the mistakes that we do keep making is using a lot of the jargon. There's no translation where people can actually read and understand our resume. You can go to the next slide, Carmen. So our mission today is going to be to understand your personal branding as your value promise and positioning and proposition. And so we want to position ourselves as people that bring value to the table versus always going looking for a job. And one of the things, I'm going to pause right there and I'm going to put this tip in here. When you go to networking events or you go to hiring events, stuff like that, always go looking to add value to that particular space that you're in, and also to build relationships. Because a lot of times, and this is just my experience with going to like a hiring fair, it's very seldom I see people get hired at a hiring fair, but they do leave with a bunch of cards and emails and information for people to keep in touch with, to actually start building a relationship. And so also we're going to create a LinkedIn profile that sells for you. And we're going to translate your military experience into civilian success stories. And also build confidence in delivering your pitch and talking about your career story, what you bring to the table. And with all of this, always remember to be authentic. Do not try to be something that you are not, because often when we put on a mask, we can't keep that mask on. But when you show up as your authentic self, you can continue to be yourself, because you're not putting on a show or anything. You're just being you, simply. You go to the next slide, Carmen. So your brand is not what you have done solely. Okay. It's what people believe you can do for them. People are looking for individuals that can solve problems. Now, I know, being in the military myself, we solve 1,000 problems every single day, but a lot of times that does not translate to our resume or to our brand or the way that we actually show up in spaces. And so think of your brand as your reputation in absentia. So when you're not in the space, what are people saying about you when you're not there? So, and trust me, most hiring decisions are made in rooms that you are not even in. Okay. And so when people are talking about you, what are they saying about you behind your back? And so if you don't define your brand, somebody else will, and they might undersell you every single time. And so don't be shy when it comes to doing this. This is opportunity for you to brag on yourself, to show up for yourself. This is who I am. This is what I bring to the table. And I'm not going to be modest about it, because I don't have to be, because I've done the work to get to where I am. And if someone can't deal with it, well, that's a personal problem. It has nothing to do with you. We don't deal with problems where people have issues with us. That's their problems. We don't even deal with that. And so for example, for your like a talking point, individuals may also say that I'm a transitioning veteran seeking opportunities. That is not going to tell anyone anything about you, for one. Number two, and this is a hard reality that I learned on this journey, and my husband learned as well, is because you're a veteran, no one is going to give you a job. You still have to compete with everyone else that is applying. The plus and added value with you being a veteran is that we bring a unique skill set to the table, and we have to learn how to sell that. And I don't care what your MOS is. We are positioned in a unique way, and we just have to figure that out and begin talking that language in which they understand in order to show what we bring to the table. And so we're not going to say that we are a transitioning veteran seeking opportunities in our LinkedIn headline. What we will say is that strong operations leader, strategic planner, driving efficiency in complex environments. That is telling people that, number one, I know how to lead, I understand logistics, and I also know how to problem solve quite well, no matter how complex the problem is. Okay. So, in one sentence in the chat, what is your brand? And don't even think about it. You don't even have to really think about that hard. What is your brand? What do you bring to the table? I'll give you a second to comment. We have to really think hard. What is your brand? What do people say about you when you're not in the room? Okay. Follow through. Follow through is huge. That's a big one for me right now. I'm gonna be honest. I follow through. Oh yes, we follow up and follow through every time. Being coachable is a good thing. My former school principal will hire a teacher that was coachable versus someone that had 20 years experience. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you know what your brand consists of. Okay, that's good. We got our start. We got our start there. You go to the next slide, Carmen. Okay. Your headline for LinkedIn, when you're looking at doing your LinkedIn headline, it is your 30-second pitch. And I'm going to tell you right now, I know that recruiters decide in seconds whether or not to click on your profile based on the headline. How do I know that? Because I asked the recruiter. So when they're looking for people to reach out to, the big thing that they look for is what's in your headline, what's highlighting your headline. So if you're looking for a job in project management, you may want to have project management in your headline. If you're PMP certified, you may want to have that in your headline as well. Because when they're looking and going to their side of LinkedIn and looking for people, they definitely look at the headlines first, because that's what the keywords are going to pop up first for in the headline. And so the formula that I have used has been who you are. Okay, I'm a veteran. What you do, I'm a project manager. Who do you serve? Maybe serving corporate professionals, maybe serving folk in tech industry. And my unique edge, PMP certified, operational excellence, all of that good stuff. And so, for example, instead of saying that you are a former infantry officer, because I'm gonna tell you right now, if a recruiter is looking at that and they have absolutely no military background experience, they just think that maybe you just somebody that's sleeping with a gun all the time. They have no idea what happens in the day in life of 11 Bravo. Well, I'm former Army, so I'm talking Army MOS. They have no idea what happens in the day of the life of someone that is an 11 Bravo. And so instead of that, you can just have the headline here of I'm a veteran, project management, driving results. I have operational excellence. I build high performing teams. I'm Lean Six Sigma Green Belt certified, and so forth. So if your headline only makes sense to another soldier, then you've already lost half of the audience because they can't read it. They don't know. It's like if you hand me something right now in Spanish, I can't read it to save my life. Now I'm handing something in French. I might could wrestle with it and figure it out. Why? Because I took four years of French and plus grew up speaking Creole in Louisiana. So kind of have a little bit background and could wrestle with that a little bit. But you hand me Spanish, then we're done. You go to the next slide, Carmen. So we're going to look at your LinkedIn summary to tell your story. And so this is where I really want us to get in the mindset of bragging on ourselves. Okay, don't be modest about none of this. Do not I don't want to show up I don't want them thinking, you know what? Don't be modest. Okay, this is your career. You know what you bring to the table. You know what you've done and you know the results that you have delivered. And so do not be modest. So your summary is your cover letter for the world. It's where you show your personality, it's where you show up authentically, and it's where you show up and you be your 1000% yourself. And so use this 3-part pitch formula. For one, I'm going to start with the hook, which says who you are and what drives you. Second, the value, your transferable skills and your key wins. And third, the call to action and invite connection. So I'm going to give you an example of what this is going to sound like. And also, we're going to follow up with a handout for you. And I'm going to put some AI prompts in there to help you take the time out of trying to get all this stuff done. Because, you know, back in the day before we really had AI like this, like we do today, it took time to figure this thing out. Okay. It took time and it could be frustrating. So where I'm trying to write a resume to apply for a job that's going to close in the next 48 hours, and I'm finding myself up for almost those 48 hours. Now with AI, I can do that in a matter of 2 hours and go and apply for the job. And of course, I'm going to edit, put me into it and my metrics, and then I'm going to go ahead on and apply for that job. And so for the hook, for example, I'm a U.S. Army veteran, passionate about leading teams through complex challenges. Okay. That's your hook. I'm a problem solver. Y'all looking for me. I'm a veteran too. I got everything you need. Your value. Over 10 years of experience, I have managed $25 million in operations, trained 400 plus personnel, and delivered results under pressure. So when other people are cracking, I'm cool, calm, and collected because guess what? I did this every day in the military. And your call to action. Let's connect if you're looking for leaders who align strategy with execution. So we're about getting down to business and doing what we got to do. So you've outlined who you are and what you do, what you bring to the table. This is my skill set. I've translated that. I've been in the Army for 10 years, managed $25 million worth of all this 11 Bravo equipment, trained all these soldiers out there. And then when we had to go to the field and had to do things within a certain time period, guess what? We got it done. Okay. We were on a time crunch and we got it done. Okay. So don't be modest when it comes to showing up for yourself. Learn how to do that. Okay. So I want you to take 2 minutes to write down one skill or strength you want LinkedIn readers to remember about you. And so not going to be the whole 2 minutes. It's going to be like 30 seconds because I want to make sure I start and finish on time. Okay. No, Yolanda, you do not be modest ever. Don't be modest ever. You don't ever dim your light for anyone. Okay. You go to the next slide, Carmen. So for your first challenge, you're going to actually brand yourself. Okay. Rewrite your headline and summary to reflect your true brand. And ask yourself, would I pitch this to a grant board? And the reason why I equated this to a grant, because when you are pitching for a grant, you have a certain amount of time. You got to get straight to the point, and you don't have long to get to the point. And also, would they see your value in 30 seconds? If not, then keep on refining. Now, there's a prompt that I wrote for ChatGPT. I'm going to say it on here, but I'm also going to follow up with an email to Carmen to forward it to everyone. Give ChatGPT a persona so it can do what you need it to do versus just going there and typing into it. Okay, so for example, act as a branding expert. Help me to brand as the go-to project management, and upload your resume so it can read your resume, and it's going to spit out some ideas that you can actually utilize. And even going in depth, it's like, I want to start showing up on LinkedIn. So what are some things I can start talking and posting about? And then can you source some articles for me to post and talk about on LinkedIn? It will give you links to articles that you can actually post and read and post and talk about on LinkedIn as well. And don't be afraid to post a video, okay? Because I have been there, done that, got over the shyness, and I actually post videos now on other platforms. I haven't posted a lot on LinkedIn, a lot of videos, but I have gotten over that. All right, Carmen, go to the next slide. Okay, so we're going to look at translate your resume. All right, so think of your resume as your proposal for investment. And why do I say that? You want someone to invest in you by paying you to come and do the job that they need done. So civilian employers don't read rank, they read results. They're looking for people that can solve problems. Drop all the acronyms and translate the roles into outcomes. And so they don't know all of this. And so highlight the leadership, how you have led and what you've done while you're leading and the impact it had. Definitely talk strategy, okay? You're strategic. How? If you strategically led someone to do something, what was it? What impact did it have? What was the outcome? Did they save money? Because Lord have mercy, talk save money. We know people love saving money. And definitely always the impact that that you bring to the table. So for example, a platoon sergeant responsible for training. Yeah, we know platoon sergeants, they're responsible to do the sergeant's time and all that. But instead of saying that, try saying this. Led and mentored 35 personnel, improving readiness by 25% and reducing turnover by 15%. So what does that mean? Especially when I saw, when I was like, okay, if I'm reducing turnover by 15%, what does that mean? I may be getting soldiers to re-enlist. They're staying in the Army because we know we got recruiting challenges right now. So I'm helping to alleviate the problem. Definitely talk about that type of impact. So think of every bullet as a sales pitch. You're selling yourself. And ask, will someone invest in me because I did this? This is why I say don't be modest. Okay. You want to be the it person. You want to be the go-to person. You want to be the one they think of when they're like, okay, who can I call to for a program manager? Oh, I remember so-and-so. I met them. I have their resume. Oh yeah. We got a slide. We're going to talk to them. You go to the next slide, Carmen. One of the methods that you could definitely use is the STAR method. Okay. The STAR method is your framework to picture results in 2 to 3 lines. So with the STAR method, we're going to talk about your situation, like what is the context of this? The task, what was your responsibility? What did you do, your action, and the measurable outcomes? And so I'm going to give you an example of this. And so instead of saying I'm responsible for convoy operations, try saying planned and executed 200 plus convoy missions, ensuring 10 million in equipment and 100 plus personnel arrived safely with zero losses. Okay. Never end a bullet without the result, because that is your value. And so right there, you've already highlighted how you've planned, you strategically planned something, executed it, and also how complex this situation was, how much you managed, how much money, value of the equipment that you managed, how you took care of people, kept them safe to getting to their, yes, I know about car as well, and also getting them from point A to point B. Okay, Carmen, you go to the next slide. Okay, so this is your other challenge, to translate your resume. Take one bullet from your military resume and rewrite it using civilian language plus star. AI tip: act as an expert resume writer. Help me to rewrite these bullets into civilian language for this particular job. If you have a link to the job, copy and paste the link into ChatGPT so it can read the job and it can start to incorporate those keywords into your resume for you. You can go back and add your metrics. You can go back and add whatever you need to add to put your personality on it. And my thing is, show up authentically, edit it to show and reflect who you are as a person. And do not, I'm gonna say this, do not promise what you cannot deliver, because somebody may call you to the table on it. And what happens then? Then we sit around embarrassed. So we don't want that to happen, but continue to be truthful, honest, and show up as our authentic selves. Okay. So this is not going to be busy work. It is practice for pitching your entire story in a way civilians will understand. You go to the next slide, Carmen. Okay, so let's do a mission recap. Okay, so today we've learned how to craft your LinkedIn brand that reflects your identity and your goals, because LinkedIn is your billboard. Also, we reframed your resume, which is your proposal, how you setting yourself up to be presented, and start proof of your value. This is what I bring to the table. Y'all want this, because guess what? Because I'm all that in a bag of chips. So remember, companies don't buy experience, they buy outcomes, which is why it's important to have metrics in your resume, because they want to know who can solve the problems that they are having. All right. And show them the results that you deliver. I can do it. You got this problem, I got it. I can handle that for you. Go to the next slide, Carmen. I think I'm doing good on time. All right. Your weekly challenges. Every mission begins with a clear brief. Your brand and resume are your civilian mission brief. So you've got the training, the discipline, the leadership. Now it's about pitching it in a language the world understands. Your next mission is simple: write your pitch, own your story, deliver your value with confidence. Make sure you're using civilian language, civilian friendly language. Highlight impact with the STAR method. And also, I know by CAR too. Okay. And also, before we leave, that's a quick transition. Turn to the chat and let's see if you know how to pitch yourself. Something that is short, clear, and powerful, like a grant. So if you had to pitch yourself right now, what would you say? Give me a second to think about that. About 20 more seconds. Okay. Servant lead, transportation logistics manager, 17 years experience. Okay. Some skin transportation. Mm-hmm. 1,000 projects, 12 million budgets. Yeah, that's a big one. Okay. And so that is the brand that you put out there when you're not in the room. That's what people should be saying about you. Okay. So at this time, I think I did good on time. I was making sure I didn't go over. If you have any questions or anything, you can reach out to the career team at VETS2INDUSTRY at support@VETS2INDUSTRY.org. And at this time, I will open it up for question and answers. Do we have any questions?
You know, for those people that have retired from the military, right? How do they convey their information without sounding like they're old?
Oh, without sounding like you're old, I would say you pretty much do the same thing, because the thing is, if someone's not going to hire you because you're old, then that's a problem right there in and of itself with that particular company. But you still want to convey your experience as if you are the expertise, which you are. You do not want to hide your experience, and you want to keep everything relevant. And so, like, my husband is retired. With his resume, I don't go back 20 years. When I do his resume, I may go back the last 5 years, maybe 10, depending on what it is he's applying for. And I pull out the relevant skills and the relevant jobs that he has done and put those on his resume. Because I know oftentimes when I'm dealing with retirees or those that have been in for longer than 10 years, they want to put everything on their resume. And I do advise against that, because then your resume becomes too long and becomes too overwhelming. And so I wouldn't change anything in terms of how I show up and convey my skills, but just make sure you're conveying yourself as the expert, especially if you are retired.
I'm not. I was just asking a question.
Oh, he's dealt with that.
Also, if I could add to that, LaConti, we always teach the careers team. The industry standard is 10 years of job experience if you have it. And for executive positions, you can get away with 15, because again, remember, the industry standard is 2 pages for your resume. So you have to use that space and make it count. So that helps with you're not going back to 20 years or having job information that you don't need, that'll date you. And also, you don't need to put like the year you graduate. You don't need to put high school graduate on your resume. You don't need to put the year you graduated high school. There are some tricks that resume writers can use to help you avoid age discrimination. But like Dr. Bryant said, you want to be careful about who you're interviewing and who you're going after, because you don't want to work for a company who doesn't want you to work for them because you're a certain age. So be more strategic about the types of jobs you look for. And you can do that as a job applicant. Yes, there are job layoffs and shortages, but you still get to be strategic about how you direct your own path.
That is correct. Because give you an example, when I was in the job market, it was about 3 years ago. When I left public education, I was told to take my doctorate off of my resume to apply to certain companies. And I was like, well, I won't be applying there, because I'm not going to minimize my accomplishments because somebody might be in their feelings about it. So that's at that point, it's not my problem. Sounds like there's a personal problem over there, and they need to deal with them, because I'm not dealing with that. The question is, I'm glad you asked that question in the chat. What's more important, the resume or the interview? Well, this is what I tell clients. Your resume is your first interview. I call it the paper interview, because it's going to be the thing that actually gets you the in-person interview. And so you want to make sure that even on paper that you're showing up just right in order to get someone to actually call you back for the actual interview. Exactly. You need to have the resume. Because even if a recruiter reach out to you, guess what they're going to ask you for? They're going to ask you for the resume to see if they want to move forward in terms of interviewing you as well.
I thought it was take a pay cut they wanted you to do.
Huh?
Oh, I said I thought it was they want you to take a pay cut. That seems to be what all the recruiters tell me.
No, we don't do pay cuts anymore. So we got too much knowledge and expertise for you to be trying to take money out of our pockets. So no. Okay, so it's okay, Carmen, what is it? I just missed that because if I flip my phone, something gonna happen. Give me a second.
So when you talk about the headline portion, is that the part that the about section, or are you talking about the part that's next to your face?
The part that's underneath your picture, because recruiters do look at that first.
Okay, so because like a lot of other people say, okay, put your like your certifications and some characteristics about yourself, like risk mitigator, influential speaker, those type of things.
What I would say to that is whatever job you are looking for, you want to make sure that it's showing up in that headline. So if someone is looking for a program manager and they're going to their side of LinkedIn and they're putting in program manager in Houston, Texas, and that's where you live at, you definitely want your stuff to pop up in that search that they're doing. So you may want to put program manager in there, in that headline as well.
Okay.
Okay, so I have a question. What concerns do you have about resumes? And we can address that because I know resumes are always an issue for people. How do I show up? How do I do my resume? How do I do this? How do I do that? Because tailoring your resume can be challenging, but in the world of AI, it can become a little bit less tedious and challenging and a lot quicker. To give you an example, last year when I came back into the workforce, for one, decided on where I wanted to work. I wanted to work for the federal government. And so I did my resume at that time because I know resume expectations have changed, but I did my resume then and I actually created, it was like a 12-page resume. And I started applying. I knew what job I wanted to apply for, what job series I wanted, and I started applying. I applied for a job on I think it was the 12th of February. I got an interview on the 28th, 27th of February, and interviewed on the 1st of March and got hired 2 weeks later. So I got a job within 30 days of the federal government. And a lot of folks would always tell me, it's like, it takes forever to get a job to government. No, it didn't take me. I followed the rules. This is what we're looking for. This is what we need. Okay, then let me show up like that on paper then so I can sell my entire skill set as well. And so 2 pages for the resume. Federal now is 2 pages. I have not dove deep into the federal resume yet, but I will be to see what are the expectations for that. Because with the old resume, I did my husband's resume. I put his entire career on his resume, and he got 10 of job offers with no interview, and these were not direct hires or any of that. They were send his resume out to, matter of fact, it was I think it was Fort Stewart, and next thing you know, he got a tentative job offer. He was like, "When did I interview for this job?" I said, "You didn't. They hired you off of your resume." And so that's why it's important that when you show up on paper, that's why I call it the paper interview, your first interview, that you show up correct for the job that you want, and definitely use AI and give AI a persona when it comes to writing your resume. So you want it to act as a resume strategist or expert resume writer. And so that way you're going to get out of it what you need versus confusing it, because AI will hallucinate on you. So are there any other questions in terms about resume?
Brian, I can answer that question about the federal resume.
Okay.
The updates to that process, it is now 2 pages. However, it's not, all the agencies have not adopted it, so you still have to read the job description to see what they want on the resume. But the new guidelines do call for 2 pages as the maximum. So you don't have to worry about giving everything anymore.
Okay. So excuse me. So how do you tailor, like, for example, a question that I may get is, how do you tailor a resume for a specific job? Is one, you definitely want to match the keywords from the job description. Again, ChatGPT, copy and paste, ask for the keywords. Highlight your relevant accomplishments and emphasize the skills that align with the role. Make sure you're aligning with the role. One of my mentees, we set a 90-day goal for her to get a job. And we worked on her resume together, and she got a job within 9 weeks. So the goal was 12 weeks. She got it in 9 weeks. And we went through the same process, breaking down the job description, aligning her resume, highlighting skills that she didn't even know she had. And she applied for the job, got hired, was ecstatic, on the phone crying, like she can't believe it happened so fast. I'm like, okay, if you got a plan, it'll happen. Okay. Should you use chronological, functional, or hybrid resume format is another question. I thought that was an interesting one that I've been asked before. And I will always go with a chronological resume. It works for steady careers. Nobody is trying to jump all over the place and guess, because they already don't have a lot of time to look at your resume. They're not going to spend 10 minutes trying to go through a resume and study it. Get to the point, make it easy for them to read. The same thing I say for a federal resume. They don't guess about your skills. They need to be able to put their fingers on it. And so as a former teacher, I think of a strategy that I used to teach called QAR, write their answers. I need to be able to put my finger on all the answers that I am looking for. And when I got the federal job, I asked the hiring manager what made her pull my resume. She said, because you had all the keywords in there. She said, what I was looking for was Addie. That's it. Analysis, design, develop, implementation, evaluation. She said, that was all in your resume. I saw Addie, give her a call. That was it. So, all right then, I know I did something right. So how do you quantify accomplishments effectively? Use numbers, percentage, and metrics. So for example, for social media, increase social media engagement by 45% in 6 months. Okay, if you're in sales, you increase sales by what, 25% in the last 90 days, like that. People want to know what kind of impact you made, because that's letting them know what kind of problems you can solve in the organization. And for the love of Christ, spelling errors. There's Grammarly. If you could use Grammarly, use that. You could upload it into ChatGPT and have ChatGPT check for errors to make sure your resume is flowing smoothly, because I know folk would be turned off with spelling errors, because that shows that you're not paying attention to the small details. And so definitely be mindful of that as well. I've gotten, when I used to sit on panels for hiring teachers at my old school, you'd be surprised at how many teachers sent in resumes that were, I don't even know how they got in the profession, with a lot of spelling errors on them. And I was like, are we going to hire this person to teach reading? Really? So it's kind of like, well, it's the only person we got. We need a body right now. And so, and also make sure that you tailor it for the job, make sure it's formatted correctly, and don't be vague. That's why I say, learn how to brag on yourself. Don't hide. Let yourself shine. Let everything shine. Okay. And how long should your summary be? Yeah. Thanks, Carmen. And the bullets, you ain't got that much space for bullets. Remember, she said, you got to make that space count. Is it necessary to include a cover letter or a LinkedIn profile? I would say yes, because guess what? Folk will look for your LinkedIn. They will go look for your LinkedIn, and they will see whether or not it matches your resume, or it closely matches, because understand you got to tailor that resume. Folk will go and look at your LinkedIn just to see what you're doing and who you are, what you do. Okay. Any other questions?
I did have a question on project management resumes. I had a guy, one person say that, you know how you normally have your bullets and stuff? They wanted to have the projects that you've worked on.
Oh, that's a good question. If you have the space in your resume, you can add projects if that's going to help you get the job. But what I have done for my clients, as a matter of fact, the one that went from HR to HVAC, I had her create an online portfolio.
Okay.
With the website and include that link in the resume. And so that way you're not taking up a whole bunch of space on your resume with projects. So if they want to see your projects, they could just click on the link and go to your website.
Oh, that's a good idea. Thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm huge on portfolios to show your work. No matter what field you are in, create a portfolio because it helps you stand out. And so when my mentee understood that, because actually in one job description, it actually says something about a portfolio for HVAC. And she's like, I don't even understand that. I said, they want to see the work that you've done before and after and provide a write-up in terms of what was going on, how did you solve and mitigate the issue, and any other workarounds that you could have done. So you're demonstrating and showing them what it is that you can do. And so they'll take that versus someone just telling them in the resume, I've done this, this, and that. This is actually showing them. And so all it is a link to add. Okay. Any other questions? Yeah, I'm huge on portfolios. No one has any more questions?
Volunteering. You put that on your resume at the bottom? Or do you not put it on there?
You can, that could work two ways. You could put it on your resume wherever it fits on the resume. But what I've actually done for individuals that volunteer, because I do recommend volunteering, is I actually have them to set it up as a job if they have the space to actually put it in their resume, because you can get a reference from someone at that volunteer site to actually for whatever job it is that you're looking for. So like, for example, I'm training director at VETS2INDUSTRY. I can add that to my resume because a lot of my resume is centered around training, education, coaching, all of that. And I can ask for a reference as well. And so I don't treat it at this particular, for me with this, is that I don't treat it as a side thing. Like, yeah, I volunteer and this is what I do. I'm training director of VETS2INDUSTRY. No, there are skills that I have to deploy within this particular position. And I'm going to put that in my little resume if I have the space, and put like maybe 3 bullets in terms of what I do.
Okay.
Jennifer, that's where I put it. The portfolio link would be put on the resume also. I do, right next to my LinkedIn link that I have at the top of my resume. And so, and sometimes it's like one of my former mentors, she's a cybersecurity engineer. Her portfolio was protected by a password because it was so in depth in terms of her just demonstrating her skills in cybersecurity. So when you do that, just provide them with the password to access it on your resume. Tips to make your resume stand out: use metrics, use the STAR method. Make sure you're using those actionable verbs to describe what you're doing, such as not just talking about that you led something, that you may be someone that strategically developed a program, someone that budgeted $10 million for something. But having those keywords along with your metrics will definitely help you stand out. But metrics is the big thing, because like I said, I've talked to hiring managers about that, and one of the things that they have said to me is that they want to know what it is that you can do, and they look for metrics. If there are no metrics in the resume, they don't waste too much time on them. How can you solve my problems, and how can you help me? Let me see the numbers. Okay. Just making sure I get to the... Well, David, I think you can answer that question. Real numbers or guess numbers. I don't think you need me to answer that.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
Of course they're real, right?
Well, if you can demonstrate that they're real, like for example, if I say that I helped students go from 31% proficiency in reading to 78% in 5 weeks, can I provide proof of that? I can. And the reference to go along with it.
Mm-hmm.
Should you list your career break? I did. And I'm going to tell you why I did. Because it's not just having a career break. I took time off to upskill. And so I kind of built my narrative around that. And so I took some time off so that I can upskill to transition to a new career so that I can bring the skill set that I already have to this particular space, along with added skills in order to solve problems for an organization. And so some say included, while others tell me not to include and use the space for more important details. Upskilling is an important detail. Because one of the things that you want to show is that you're a consummate learner. You're constantly learning, constantly upskilling, getting better at what you do. So when you get better at what you do, you get better at what you do. You can do what you do better at the organization to help them meet their bottom line. Professional summary and core competencies, or just if you have the space for it. Because I just did a resume for my stepdaughter, and I included both of those in her resume because she does some kind of analytics stuff for a bank or something. Girl has a degree in math and actuarial science and accounting. So she's doing something with the bank, and I was able to do her resume, and I included both of those. Had to do some research to get it done, but it got done. It got her a job. Matter of fact, got her a promotion. The bullets, 3 to 5. Don't be labored. You got to be able to get to the point quickly. And also make sure you're looking at that job description as well. Because they're pretty much, I think of job descriptions as this. They're giving you the answers to the tests. You telling me what you're looking for and what you need. Okay, great. So let me put this in my resume. The same thing I did with the federal government. You're telling me you need what? I'm gonna be evaluated how? By these 10 skills. So guess what's about to be in all bold letters in the federal resume? Those 10 things. So you can put your finger on it. Because I don't want you to guess about anything. I want you to be able to look at it and see what I can do. Yeah, because keep in mind, you don't have that much space. And so you want to maximize the space that you do have. And if you're one that have done projects, like I said, I recommend the portfolio, the online portfolio, which you can do with the Google Sites for free. And clear up that space so that you can use it for something else. I think it's interesting. No one really asked me about AI in all of this.
That's her favorite thing, y'all. Please ask her. She's gonna tell you anyway.
AI has saved me so many times with everything. Okay, I don't even go to Google. I just go to either Gemini or ChatGPT to ask for stuff, to plan stuff out, to figure it out. And so, because it could be whatever you want. In ChatGPT, there may be still there, I just haven't found it, a MOS translator, where it's a GPT that's designed for, if you put your MOS in there, to help you translate the skills. Or you can just ask ChatGPT, give it a persona, act as an MOS translator. This was my job in the military. I need help translating these skills to civilian language. Strategic prompt to optimize. What is the best? The right mass resumes for life in general. What's the best strategic prompt to use to optimize a resume? What are you optimizing it for? Eddie.
Y'all, Dr. Bryant she is certified in AI. So if you get her started, this is gonna turn into this is gonna turn into an AI discussion.
Or you job, or you using it because some grant proposals require a resume
For just a simple job I'm applying to.
for a job that you're applying to. For one, we're going to use the job description, right? Definitely plug in the job description into ChatGPT. Number two, you are going to ask it to pull out the keywords in there and embed that into the resume as well, because you're going to upload the resume as well. And you want it to use strong verbs to convey that you are the expert in whatever job it is that you are applying for. It could be training and development, instructional design, project management, or whatever it is, because you want to make sure it's strategically aligned. So that way, before you actually apply for the job. So that is what I do. I ask it, and also I give it a persona, ask it to act as a master resume writer and strategist. And I want, please optimize my resume for this particular role. I want to use strong verbs to make sure I'm perceived or seen as the expert in this area. And also I want to add metrics. You can add the blanks for the metrics. I will go back in and edit the metrics once the resume is created. Okay. It's 2 to 3. Don't just keep in mind, you want to conserve your real estate. Okay. All right.